The elevation profile tool can help us determine whether or not we can provide service to new prospects. However, it can also help us to provide better service to our existing clients. So Jesse here calls in and says he'd like to have higher speeds. And we know very well that he's on a 2.4 gigahertz frequency, which is not going to be able to support the kind of speeds he's talking about. So let's see what options he has. We'll go to the elevation profile tool, and basically what we see here are any towers in the area and the line of sight between the customer's location and the tower location. And the first thing that I always like to do is to open up the satellite view and to zoom in on the customer's location and make sure that it's 100% accurate. Now we can see that the customer's location is really just a little bit to the north, and we can actually click and drag and drop on their location to have the elevation profile redraw to be as accurate as possible. Now they are currently on the Preston silo. It's a decent looking shot, but if we look at the frequencies, we can see that the only option is 2.4 gigahertz. And there's two other towers in the area, so let's see what the shot looks to those. Preston Water Tower looks nice and clean, and the Silo Tower also pretty good, about 3 to 4 miles. It's telling us the distance between the customer and the tower. So on the Preston Water Tower, we see that the frequencies available are 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So I'm going to choose the 5 gigahertz option and redraw. And now it's a pretty good elevation profile, but I did notice it changed just a little bit, and that is because we have a different height set for the 5 gigahertz equipment versus the 2.4, which we'll take a look at in a moment. The other thing that we should notice is that the line of sight here has a ring around it, and that's the Fresnel zone, which Powercode calculates based off the frequency of the access point. And lastly, if we have a situation where the elevation profile, the line of sight just don't look real clean, we can try to get an idea of how much height we would have to add in order to get a good shot. So if this wasn't such a nice looking elevation profile, we could maybe add 10 more feet to the customer's location and then redraw, and it'll show us what that might look like. And lastly, the best thing we can do here is scroll down into the elevation profile, look at the lay of the land, and just verify that there's no obstructions nearby that might be preventing a good line of sight to the new tower. If there's trees nearby or any kind of buildings that are just too close, that's what we're going to be looking for. This looks good to go, so we can move on to looking at the network site and see exactly where that information is set for the height of the access point. And we were looking at the Preston Water Tower, and we have a couple different pieces of equipment here, and this 5.7 sectional is what we want to really look at. If we edit that, it'll tell us that it's set to 700 feet on the tower, and we can see some other information here. What kind of antenna is it, what's the azimuth, down tilt, and so on. And based on that information on all of your towers, it'll make all of your elevation profiles that much more accurate.